Hello Game Boys and Girls, the real KJ3 here. I was rummaging through some old recording footage from 2012 and I found one of my old Teal Game Boy Color that kicked the bucket a few years ago. I took to eBay and found one for a half decent price with the Tetris game included, so I jumped on the sale. A few days later it arrived and it was time to unbox and reminisce on the times of playing portable games with a worm light attached. First things first, I can see the seller takes his time and takes care of their packages because usually I receive these in a bubble mailer all dirty and banged up, but thankfully this wasn't the case. Underneath all this bubble wrap lies one of my favorite consoles of all time, and man, I cannot wait to hold it in my hands once again. And here it is, my dudes, the Teal Game Boy Color, nicely wrapped in a plastic bag. And it even has a Tetris manual in it too, which I don't remember seeing in the listing, but hey, it looks to be in good condition, so I'll take it. Make sure there's nothing else underneath the bubble wrap that's under there, but that looks to be glued down, so there's nothing under there. Alrighty, so let's open up the bag, and I can see from the top down that the game is actually inside of the Game Boy, so that settles that. Ah, does it feel good to be holding that in my hands again? It has been way too long. The shell looks to be in pretty good condition, but I don't think I can say that for the Tetris game because there is a bit of yellowing going on. I hope it works. It looks to be the version that actually sold with the original Game Boy, which is really cool. I have the other retail version, but not this version, so that's pretty cool to have. And look, the seller was even nice enough to leave 2 batteries in there for me. I hope that it wasn't in there too long. So let's go ahead and power it on and see what we get. Yep, got it powering on, so it looks to be good. But we're still going to take it apart and clean it because, you know. But first, let's test the Game Boy cartridge that it came with. There I am in the reflection, and it seems to be booting up first try. It is pretty cool to have the version that released with the original DMG Game Boy. Like I said, I have the other one, but not this one. So let's go ahead and test out the A, B, and D pad. So everything seems to be working. Up, down, left, and right seems to be working. A and B are working. Start works. As you can see, I gotta get the right contrast as far as the camera and the lighting. So I'm gonna go ahead and power it off, and let's get to cleaning time. Let's go ahead and take the Game Boy cartridge out. Try to take that as easy as possible. It's a little on the sticky side. So now it's cleaning time. So first things first, I removed the battery cover and I want to take a look at the battery terminals on the back of the Game Boy. They don't seem to be too bad, they really don't have any corrosion going on, but they seem to be having the signs of the beginning of corrosion going on. So I'm going to stop that in its tracks and get some isopropyl alcohol on it. So I start with the screws underneath and then on the side, and then it's deep cleaning time. So first things first, I noticed these 2 screws that are poking out from the motherboard. I don't know if they are third-party screws. I'm probably going to take a look at those more. But looking at the DC jack and the headphone jack, those seem to be looking fine as far as inside of them go. So after getting those removed, I flipped over the board to take a look at the button terminals, and they definitely needed cleaning. The one that needed it the most was the right D-pad and the start and select, but other than that, everything looked to be how it should as far as a Game Boy board really not getting maintenance, but I've definitely seen them looking a lot worse. So I take some isopropyl alcohol on them, started with the D-pad, over to the B, and then to the A, and then the start and select, the dirt seemed to come right up onto the Q-tip, so I'm just glad it didn't stain onto the contacts or would be irreparable. So I'm pretty happy about that. Everything seemed to come right off onto the Q-tip there. So after that side was cleaned, I flipped over the Game Boy, and the first thing I noticed is that the start and select had like this white discoloration on it, but I don't think it really affected the membrane at all. but on the inside it had a lot of dirt and dust on it that was going to need a deep cleaning. So then I looked at the D-pad, and on both sides there was a lot of dirt, dust, and like small fragments of hair on it, so it was kind of in deep need of a cleaning. And there was same went for the A and B button membrane as well. Looking at the actual plastic piece for the D-pad, there was a lot of engraved dirt in there that I was going to need to use either like a fine pick or like a toothbrush, and some more isopropyl alcohol with some soap and water. And the same went for the A and B buttons. It was mostly in the actual B and A engravings, but the buttons weren't in too bad of condition as far as any kind of discoloration. So after getting that all cleaned up, it was time to pop everything back in. Started with the A and B buttons, and then the start and select. I couldn't get the white discoloration off, but I don't think it really mattered. I got the membranes all cleaned up, so I got those back in there. The A and B buttons, and then flip the motherboard back over, and it was time to figure out that screw situation. I went and I washed the screws to see if maybe there was some sort of dirt or grime on them that wasn't making them seat right, or maybe they were being cross-threaded. But I tried it myself, and I realized that I really wasn't getting anywhere. They were still sticking out no matter how hard I tried to push them in. But I didn't try to push them in too hard in case of damaging the actual shell. And I tried both screws in both slots, and I still got the same result as first taking it apart. So now it was back to the drawing board, and I had to figure out why these screws weren't going in to hold the motherboard in place. So I ended up figuring out what was wrong. The original screws that were used to hold the case down by the batteries, those were the screws that actually needed to go into the motherboard. So I put them in and found out these were the ones that needed to go in, and it actually held the motherboard in place and didn't stick out really far. So after figuring that out, I put on the back piece of the shell and then put in all of the tri-wing screws, and now it was time to put in batteries and see if we were successful. Alrighty, so moment of truth time. I got the batteries in the back, and so let's see if it powers on. And there we go, we are successful. So there it is, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the Game Boy related video. I'm hoping to do more in the future, but in the meantime, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And be sure to check out my Instagram at therealkj3.exe where I post stuff like this. But in the meantime, we'll catch you guys in another video. Peace out.